In this episode, we talk about how to beat laziness. Get excited. Well, try to get excited because this is Tiny Leaps. Big change. Welcome to another episode of Tiny Leaps, Big Changes, where I share simple strategies you can use to get more out of your life. My name is Gregg Clunis, and in this episode, I want to talk about a problem we all struggle with. It's called laziness. It's the thing that holds us back from our major goals, the things that stop us from getting what it is we ultimately want. Now, the thing is, we all experience it. We all struggle with being lazy. We all struggle with actually doing the work, showing up and just getting it done. We all struggle with that. So it's not something to feel bad about or embarrassed or anything like that. But I found that if you can better understand why you are being lazy, it can help you to break out of it. So in this episode, I want to go through all of that. Now, with that said, if you like the show and you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe wherever you are consuming this. If you are on audio, on iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, Stitcher, TuneIn, Alexa, wherever you are, hit subscribe. Make sure you tune in to future episodes. And if you are on YouTube, and if you're not on YouTube, head over to youtube.com/Gregg Clunis, but click subscribe because we are in a race. As of this recording, we are at 901 subscribers. We want to get that to 1,000 and beyond. So help us out. Click subscribe, click the bell. Make sure you tune in, drop a comment, do whatever you got to do, but make sure you click subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Let's jump into the episode. So the first major reason that you are being lazy is that you lack self-confidence. Now, we talked about this a little bit in the 5-part episode on how to beat procrastination. And that was the article from Celestine Chua, I believe is how you say it, or Celestine Chua or something like that. But she runs a phenomenal blog. Check out those episodes, check out her blog. And the idea here is that you are being lazy or you are procrastinating or you are not doing the thing simply because you lack self-confidence. You do not believe in your ability to do the thing and to do it well. Maybe you think, okay, I'll show up and I'll do it, but it's not going to be great, so I'm not going to do it at all. Or maybe you think, well, I won't even be able to do it. Or maybe you think, well, I'm going to do it, but nobody's going to care. And that touches a little bit more on one of the other reasons that we'll talk about. But the point is, you lack confidence in yourself and your ability to execute the task. And so rather than face that potential pain of facing the reality of maybe you can't, because that's a possibility. It is possible that you can't do that thing. It's very possible. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat this for you. It's very possible that you're going to try this thing and you're going to fall on your face and you're going to feel embarrassment and you're going to feel sad and you're going to feel like, why did I even bother? That's a real possibility. And so rather than face that pain, you just succumb to laziness. You succumb to procrastination because you just want to live in the dream world where it's all still possible, where it's still possible for you to be amazing at it. You'd rather live in the fantasy of potentially being amazing than face the potential reality of failing. And that's just... it's absurd when you think about it, but we all do it. It's not something that is unique to you or unique to me. We all struggle with it. So that's reason number one, lack of self-confidence. How do you fix this? Well, honestly, self-confidence, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, self-confidence comes from action. You need evidence of the opposite. You need to show yourself that you can do this thing, or that if you can't do it, you are able to deal with the crushing feeling of failure. You need to show yourself that. If you can just get yourself to take some kind of action, any action whatsoever towards the thing, you're going to start feeling a little bit better about it, and that'll help you to cut out the laziness, cut out the procrastination. So that's reason number one. Reason number two And I should mention that the 5 reasons I'm pulling up here, they're from a really great article on lazymotivated.com. It was published in 2017. Link in the description for this episode. So make sure you check that out. And they have a full 10. I'm only covering 5. So check out their article to get the full 10 as well as their perspective on it. I'm sort of pulling their 5 reasons and then adding my own perspective there. So reason number 2, lack of support. Now, this is one that we often don't think of. We don't like to think that, okay, well, we need people to cheer for us, right? We don't want that feeling of like having to depend on somebody else to like cheer us up or motivate us or inspire us or whatever it is, right? But without that support, it causes a noticeable difference in our actions. Because here's the thing, when you have that support, you might take it for granted. You might say you don't need it. You might do all of those things. Without that support, as you're trying to take the actions and you're struggling and you're going through the pain and you're failing and falling on your face and you feel embarrassed and all of these things, you're doing it alone. Or at least you feel like it. You feel like you're doing it alone. You feel like you're working so hard and struggling through this thing and nobody understands you. You're lacking support. All you need is somebody around you to say, hey, you got this. You can do it. Keep going. Work harder. You got this. I believe in you. Like, that's all you need. Just that little bit of emotional support, that little bit of a push to keep going when it gets tough, to keep going when it gets hard. And by the way, this also extends to non-emotional support, the physical support, the real world support. Support from your spouse, support from your kids. If you are working your tail off right now to go back to school, but you've got 2 kids and a husband that isn't supporting you, guess what? It's going to be really hard to keep showing up. It's going to be really hard to deal with it when you feel like the world around you is crumbling. So that's reason number 2, lack of support. How do you fix this? Well, honestly, this one's difficult because you can't change how other people are. Now, there's 2 things I would recommend. The first is to talk to them. Talk to the people around you. Let them know. Ask for the support that you need or the support you feel you aren't getting. Ask for it. Because that's one of the major mistakes that I think people make, is that we never ask for the help we actually need. We just hope and pray that if we just imply it enough, if we just talk around the point enough, that they'll pick up on it. Just ask for the support. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's nothing to feel bad about. Ask for the support you need with the people around you. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get it. They may not want to give it to you. They may just say, well, whatever. They may not care. But you got to at least ask and see what happens. And then the second thing is you've got to surround yourself with different people. And I know this is the thing we always go back to with personal development of like cutting out your friends and cutting out negative influence. I don't believe in all that. I think that you can bring people with you. You can drag them along for the rides, kicking and screaming, but keep the people you love in your life. However, if they are naturally not supportive and you talk to them and they still are not providing the emotional support that you need or the physical support that you need, that doesn't mean you cut them out of your life, but it does mean that you go somewhere else to get that. It does mean that you maybe join a mastermind. Maybe you join a group in town, a meetup group. Maybe you start going to more events. You start meeting people in Facebook groups. You just start to build out a network of people that you know when you go to them with XYZ accomplishment or problem, you'll have the emotional and physical support that you need. So that's number 2. Number 3, a lack of recognition. And this one is interesting because it's very similar to the support one. These 2 sort of feed off of each other, but this is more so once you've accomplished something. See, it's really difficult when you work your tail off, you put in that effort and you get it done, you accomplish it. And then you feel like, well, that's not that big of a deal. You know, it doesn't matter. And the people around you won't take the few seconds it would say to say, good job. Like, you killed it. You go, girl. It's really difficult. And it's one of those things that we don't want to admit that we need. Just like needing that extra push while we're in the journey, we don't want to admit that we need hey, congratulations, you did a good job. Like that thing, whatever the word for that is, right? But we do. It helps a lot. And it helps to make sure that the next time we take on a challenge, we know that at the end of it, people are going to feel like you did something that was valuable. And it also helps you to take more pride in the thing, because I've seen it over and over again. The people around you sort of treat it like it's not a big deal. And so you start to treat it like it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. You know how hard you worked. You know how much effort you put into this. It is a big deal. So that lack of recognition, it's going to be the same response or the same way to fix it as number 2, lack of support. You've got to talk to your people and ask them for what you want. And you've got to find other people that can provide whatever it is you need. It's the same answer, but it's what you got to do. You can't change their behavior, but you can ask them to give you what you need. And if they still won't, then you can find other people who will. Next one, lack of self-discipline. Now, this is one I've struggled with. This is one that many of you, after I did my episode on self-discipline, talk about. You reach out to me and you just share your things with this. Self-discipline is critical. It's critical. It's something that I shied away from for a while. It's something that I felt, and I talked about this in my episode on self-discipline. I felt like I don't want to discipline myself. It has that negative connotation to it. And then I watched a video that Terry Crews shared where he presented self-discipline really as self-love, because you love yourself too much to let yourself eat that thing or not take that action or whatever it is, right? You love yourself too much. You love the future version of yourself. You love the present version of yourself too much to not hold yourself accountable to the things that you say you want to do. That is what self-discipline is. And if you don't have that self-discipline, sometimes, honestly, laziness is really just about you're just being lazy. And all you need to do is just get up and do the thing. Like sometimes there's no emotional reason behind it. There's no everyone around me sucks thing behind it. It's just you got to get up and do it. That's where self-discipline comes in. And if you don't have that, it can be a struggle. So how do you fix that? Well, you've got to build self-discipline. And the way you do that is by doing what you say you're going to do. The way I started doing it for myself is I fixed one thing. A single thing. I started every single morning drinking a glass of water as soon as I woke up. That was it. That's the only change I made for about 2 weeks, maybe a month. Every single morning, as soon as I wake up, full glass of water, drink it. And I decided I'm going to commit to this, and I woke up every day and I did it. Before I knew it, that enabled me to start waking up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, which I now do and love, and I'm going to talk about in a future episode. That enabled me to start making sure I control my first meal. That enabled me to start making sure I'm at the gym. Like just that very simple act of drinking more water. And I've talked about this in a very recent episode. Just that simple act, drinking more water first thing in the morning, put me in a position to start building some self-discipline that I could then pull from in order to build the other habits. So you've just got to find one thing you can commit to, tell yourself you're going to do it, and then do it. Start building the muscle of self-discipline. If you can do that, then guess what? You win. You win. It's that simple. And then finally, the last one here is just lack of interest, plain and simple. And we talked about this in the procrastination series as well. If you're just not interested in something, you're going to be lazy about it. This is where self-discipline can help. But it's also important to try and do more things that you are interested in. If you want to go work out, but you hate doing weights, don't do weights. You don't have to. You can do a workout class. You can do cycling. You can do yoga. You can do Pilates. You can do all of these different things. Like you don't have to do weights. You don't have to do running. You don't have to do any particular thing. take the time to test things and find something you are actually interested in, and that will make it much easier to keep executing. Because guess what? If you go to the gym and you take a yoga class every single week, whereas you never worked out before, one day a week of doing yoga is still way better than not doing anything. Even if you're not lifting weights, even if you're not running, even if you're not doing all the things that all these articles say that we need to do. Find the thing you like and just do that. Don't worry about anything else. So, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you found some value in it. These are definitely the major reasons when I'm feeling lazy. And thankfully, I've started to fix a lot of these things in my life. And guess what? The rest of my life is sort of started to fall into place as a result of it. So really can't knock it. Try the advice here. I really think it will help. And if you haven't already, here's some more advice. Be sure to click subscribe wherever you are consuming this, whether it's in audio on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Alexa, wherever you listen to your podcast, click subscribe. And if you have not already, head over to YouTube, youtube.com/Gregg Clunis, and click subscribe on the channel. We are sharing all the podcast episodes, as many as we can, in video format. And I just want to make sure that this channel grows, that we can reach more people through this new medium. So we are close to 1,000 right now. By the time you watch this, we maybe have passed it, but click subscribe anyway, because it will help us out so much. Thank you. Really, really love you for that. I've been Gregg Clunis, and that's all I got. Remember that all big changes come from the tiny leaps you take every day.